It seldom happens when a vehicle steps into the light and doesn't need to announce its arrival. Something about the way it carries itself allows the silence to speak louder than any badge or emblem ever could. Within Mazda's lineup, that quiet confidence has always lived in the shadows, steadily building an identity with nothing more than design purity, engineering sincerity, and a promise of something just a little more intimate than the usual offerings in its class. This time, with the CX-70, that sense of restrained ambition feels sharper than ever. The shape isn't loud, nor does it seek attention with brash flourishes or exaggerated creases. There's a sense of proportion that holds everything together, a balance between width, height, and length that leans into elegance without crossing into fragility. Light flows across the hood with a deliberate smoothness, following the carefully sculpted curvature until it breaks along the subtle shoulder line. Here, Mazda's designers have chosen simplicity over chaos, letting each surface exist with a kind of purpose that suggests the design itself had been waiting to emerge, rather than forced into existence. The front fascia avoids the theatrical, leaving unnecessary aggression behind in favor of composure. A grille, wide yet reserved, anchors the expression with the same confidence found across the CX family. Framed by headlights that seem to squint with intent, there's no mistaking the sense of quiet control. Each element, from the gloss black accents to the restrained chrome detailing, contributes to a larger sense of seamlessness, where nothing exists for the sake of presence alone. Around the side, the profile stretches just enough to suggest practicality without diluting the athleticism. Wheel arches maintain a purposeful modesty, subtly framing alloys that avoid overindulgence in favor of a refined presence. There's a flow to the roofline, a gentle descent toward the rear that balances aerodynamics with spaciousness, creating a silhouette that never feels forced to choose between beauty and function. Even in stillness, there's motion in its posture, the kind of readiness that invites the imagination to picture winding roads, urban skylines, and long stretches of open highway all in one breath. At the rear, simplicity returns to guide the final impression. Tail lamps whisper their presence rather than shouting, leaving the work to their sculpted housings and the subtle curvature of the tailgate itself. A low, wide stance completes the message, grounded confidence without excess. Even the exhaust outlets avoid unnecessary drama, tucked into the lower valance with an intentionality that matches every other detail across the exterior. Once the doors open, a different world unfolds, one where Mazda's philosophy of human-centric design reveals itself in every seam, surface, and texture. The cabin refuses to chase trends, preferring instead to offer an experience that feels curated rather than manufactured. Materials play a quiet symphony of soft-touch surfaces, understated metal trims, and stitched leather that speaks more through feel than sight. There's warmth to the layout, a sense of welcome born not from extravagance but from precision, the kind of precision that comes from understanding how hands rest, how fingers search, and how eyes travel when they seek comfort or connection. The center console rises just enough to create an environment that feels personal, wrapping around the driver with an unspoken sense of partnership. Each control, from the rotary dial to the climate toggles, lives within reach, never demanding attention, yet always ready for it. Screens exist, but they follow the rhythm rather than dictate it. A wide infotainment display, set slightly back, encourages glanceability rather than distraction, while the instrument cluster blends analog charm with digital clarity in a way that feels refreshingly timeless. Space plays its own role here, with seating that avoids the excesses of overstuffed luxury and the austerity of bare-bones minimalism. Cushions find that rare balance between support and give, inviting occupants to settle in rather than simply sit down. Rows of seats carry that same attention to detail, ensuring that passengers in every position find themselves surrounded by the same thoughtful consideration. Whether it's the angle of the rear seatbacks or the positioning of storage cubbies, nothing feels accidental. Beneath the surface, technology weaves through the experience like a hidden current, always present but rarely flaunted. Driver assistance systems monitor the world outside with a quiet vigilance, stepping in only when necessary and always with the lightest touch. Adaptive cruise control, lane keeping assistance, and automatic emergency braking become silent companions, never overstepping their role but always aware of their responsibility. Even connectivity, with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, follows the same philosophy: seamless when needed, invisible when not. Performance steps into the conversation with a deliberate blend of power and precision, favoring balance over brute force. Beneath the sculpted hood, a choice of powertrains reveals itself, each tailored to match a different interpretation of what driving should feel like. A turbocharged 2.5-liter engine stands ready for those who value responsive acceleration and confident merging, while a plug-in hybrid option whispers a promise of silent electric cruising and reduced emissions. In both cases, power finds its way to the pavement through Mazda's intelligent all-wheel drive system, where torque shifts invisibly between wheels, favoring grip, stability, and fluid handling. The steering speaks with honesty, transmitting the road's secrets without filtering out its character. Corners become invitations rather than obligations, and each twist of the wheel feels less like a command and more like a conversation. Ride quality follows the same philosophy, firm enough to respect the driver's intent, yet supple enough to preserve the serenity the cabin so carefully cultivates. It's this balance, this refusal to sacrifice one quality for another, that defines the CX-70's driving experience. Efficiency joins the narrative not as a footnote but as a natural consequence of thoughtful engineering. Fuel economy numbers reflect that careful balancing act, where power and responsibility coexist rather than conflict. Whether driven by combustion alone or with electric assistance, the CX-70 finds ways to travel further on less, never demanding compromise in return. Hidden within this well-crafted machine are touches that escape immediate notice, the kind of details that only emerge through time and familiarity. The way the doors close with a reassuring solidity, the subtle animation of the welcome lighting sequence, or the gentle rise and fall of the head-up display as the engine hums to life. These moments form the unspoken dialogue between vehicle and driver, the language of trust and understanding. Price, as always, exists not just in the number but in the value woven into every experience. The CX-70 enters a space filled with competitors eager to claim attention through size, power, or technology, yet it chooses a quieter path, one where thoughtful design, intentional engineering, and genuine human connection take center stage. It doesn't shout for attention, nor does it chase trends. Instead, it offers an invitation to step inside, to feel, to drive, and ultimately, to understand. The Mazda CX-70 doesn't just exist to move people from place to place. It exists to remind them that even in a world of automation and acceleration, there's still room for artistry, for sincerity, and for vehicles that choose to be more than machines. Let me know if you want to adjust the tone, add specific trims, or focus on any particular features like off-road capabilities or luxury packages.